Hello everyone, welcome to Vijay Codes It. So today we are going to learn about Spark architecture. Before we dive deep into what Spark architecture is, let's understand what a computer cluster is. Basically, a computer cluster is a set of different computers working together as a single computer. Let's say each machine in our cluster has 10 core CPU and 100 GB of RAM. Since we have like total of 7 machines, so our total computing power would become 70 core CPU and 700 GB of RAM. But out of these 7 computers, one would be a master node. So let's say this one is the master node. Rest of all would be the worker nodes. Let's say these are worker nodes W1, W2, W3. So we have 6 worker nodes and one master node. This would be obviously connected with each other. So this would be the architecture kind of thing. Each computer would be connected to each other. And this is what we called as cluster of computers. The master is also known as cluster manager. And there are few famous cluster manager that we should know. First one is Yarn. The second one is Mesos. Third is Kubernetes. And the fourth one is standalone. Now let's understand what will happen when a developer submits a Spark application. Let's say the developer is requesting for 10 GB of driver, 5 executors with 15 GB of RAM and 5 core CPU. So this request would be going to the cluster manager. And what cluster manager would be doing is cluster manager would be looking at all of the worker nodes, and wherever there is free RAM for the driver, it would be creating a container within that worker node. In our example, each of our worker node are empty right now. So let's say the master node would be creating the driver in the worker node 5. So since we have our 10 GB of driver in our worker node 5, now let's see what exactly is within this driver node. So the driver would be containing of the Spark core. It will be having PySpark and the JVM methods. Let's understand. On top of Spark core, we have something called as Java wrapper. And on top of Java wrapper, there is a Python wrapper written. So what happens is, if our Spark code is written in Python, the PySpark driver would be used. Here we have the PySpark driver. And this is the application driver. And when our Spark code is written in Java or Scala, the JVM main is used. So if our code is written in Python, the Python code is first converted into Java and then it is executed in the Spark code. Now we have understood what exactly our 10 GB of driver consists of and what its functionality is. Once we have the 10 GB of driver, it will go back again to the master node and say that the driver is created. Now allocate the 5 executors with 15 GB of RAM and 5 core CPU, which the developer had initially requested. So what will happen is, again, the master node would be checking which of our worker node is empty, and it would be creating like assign. So the master node would be creating the executors within our worker node and assigning those to the developer. Let's say the master node is selecting W2, W1, W3, W4, and W5 as our executor. So 5 executors of 15 GB RAM would be created within the those 5 executors. So we have chosen W1, W2, W3, W4, and W5. These are 5 executors. So what would happen within it is, so these are the 5 executors. We can name them as E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, which are created in our worker node W1, W2, W3, W4, W5, and they are coordinating with the driver which is created in the node W5. So what will happen is, this driver node would be sending out our code to be executed in this 5 executors. Say if our code is consisting of UDFs, which is user defined function. So what we will have to do is, the driver node would be passing on a Python worker in each of our executors. Why why is our driver node passing on Python worker in each of our executors? Because our code consists of user defined function, the executors will be needing a Python runtime environment to execute those codes. Hence, due to this reason, it is advised that we shouldn't be using the user defined function in our PySpark code. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching.